This is my PlayStation Vita launch OLED model, and this week I've been using it to play the Simpsons Hit and Run. Yes, you heard it right. This console is currently not only being used to play the Simpsons Hit and Run, but it's actually playing it really well. It's running very, very smoothly, and there are a number of steps that were taken to get to this point. Unfortunately, I am pretty terrible at playing it, but it actually runs really smoothly. The frame rate is consistent. The sounds are all fine, and any issues that I was having originally with particular textures dropping out and things have all been addressed. But I am getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's just pause this and talk to you about how I've actually got up to this point, why it's a big deal, and how just sometimes things just seem like they fall into your lap. Okay, so let's just wind it back a little bit. Last weekend, I, on a whim, dug out my old PlayStation Vita. Now, I've got two PlayStation Vitas. I've got a PS Vita Slim, which I modded a while ago, which was quite hard work to go through the process of doing all the modding and hacking. And to be honest, once I'd done that, I didn't really do much more with it beyond that. And this is my original launch model Vita OLED. It is a much, much nicer screen, but a slightly chunkier console than the Slim. And I always kept that one stock. I kept it as is. It had quite a lot of games on it. One of the issues with the PlayStation Vita is it comes with its own proprietary memory card. So you can't just use a standard memory card like an SD card with it. You have to use the PlayStation Vita ones. And they were both very expensive and then increasingly very hard to come by, particularly if you're trying to get a genuine one and not pick up a fake. And the size of them wasn't that big. Like, I loved my PlayStation Vita and I had lots and lots of digital games, but I couldn't keep them all on my console at the same time. Even though I upgraded from the original 4GB card to a 16GB card, I still had to swap and change a little bit to keep things in. So why I originally decided to mod this was because you can use a PS... Well, let me just show you. We'll shut down the console and we'll take a little look in the PS Vita slot at the top, because where you would normally have your game, what I've got in here is a SD to Vita Pro micro SD adapter. So in here, if I can get it out again, I have a SanDisk micro SD card, 128 gigabytes, quite a bit bigger than my 16 gigabyte Sony card. That slots into this adapter. The adapter is shaped like a PlayStation Vita game, and it goes into the game slot here. Simply just slots in here. And it doesn't just work off the bat. You need to have the custom firmware installed, which is why I decided to install that custom firmware on my PlayStation Vita. So there are a number of things that you can do with the PlayStation Vita once you've installed the custom firmware. But for me, the main motivator was to use that SD card adapter, expand the storage that I've got, and do a little more with it. There's lots that you can do in terms of adding more games. You can run loads of emulators on there. It's a really good console in terms of emulating different machines, but I've got lots of handhelds that emulate different machines, so that doesn't really interest me. However, one of the things that really did interest me is something called Adrenaline. Adrenaline is a PSP emulator. So although I wasn't that interested in using this console for emulation in general, being able to emulate PSP and PlayStation 1 games on a piece of PlayStation hardware, that really appealed to me. So that was one thing that I did install on here, and that was one of my main motivators, as well as the SD card adapter, to get the mods up and running on this console, which I did. And I've done lots of things. Go on the memory stick there. You can see, like, I've got 73 gigabytes free on this, so loads and loads of storage on there. We open that up, and we've got lots of PlayStation games on there, and we can also get PlayStation Portable, PSP games installed on there. So that is a really nice feature in terms of the emulation. It runs them flawlessly. But let's just come back out of here. To exit this, I have to go on Settings and then exit PSP EMU application. So there's lots of things you can do on this. There's loads and loads of homebrew software that you can go through on the PSP homebrew browser. There's lots of different bits of software to mess around with that, you know, if you like tinkering with these things, this is great fun. Now, when it came to actually modifying the console, it was actually really straightforward. This is not going to be a guide for doing that, and I'm not going to provide any links for the hacks and things like that you can do. But really, if you search hacks and PlayStation Vita, you will find what you need to find. But I was really surprised at quite how straightforward it was, how easy it was to do these processes. You can connect to a computer using a USB cable, or you can do it via FTP, which is a wireless transfer, which makes things much, much easier for transferring small files. When you get onto bigger files, the USB cable tends to work quite well. If you've got a PS Vita Slim, you could just use a micro USB cable, but if you've got the original one like I've got here, you've got to use the standard connector, so you might need to get a special USB cable for that. So anyway, I had been busy tinkering about with this console just for fun, playing around with different homebrews and the PSP emulators and so on. And like literally a day later, a friend of mine sent me a link with somebody playing the Simpsons Hit and Run on their PS Vita, which didn't make sense to me because this emulates PSP really well, it emulates PlayStation really well, but Simpsons Hit and Run was a PlayStation 2 game or a GameCube game or a PC game, so it shouldn't realistically run on here, so I was fascinated. It wasn't as straightforward to install as a lot of other things, a lot of the other homebrew and things. Like there is software like Vita Shell and Vita Deploy and PKGJ, which can install all sorts of things directly to the console if you're connected to the internet. You don't have to use anything else to support. But with this, it was a bit more involved. So the Simpsons Hit and Run is a port of the PC version of the game. It actually requires a full version of the PC files to be installed on here before you add the PlayStation Vita software to run with it. It was a port done by Xeno Arrows. I found lots of useful information on Discord in terms of getting this up and running. It was quite a job to get it up and running. There were a few, it took me hours actually, a few pitfalls that I encountered as I was going with it. But within just the past few days since I installed this, when I was doing a little bit of reading online before making this video, there's loads and loads of information out there about it. So if you search Simpsons Hit and Run PS Vita, you'll be able to find out exactly how to get this fantastic game up and running. So for the uninitiated, this is pretty much the best Simpsons game out there. It's like GTA crossed with Simpsons. What more could you want? So one of the things in terms of getting this up and running, and one of the reasons why having this custom firmware was a big help, was I managed to install a plugin which allowed me to overclock the console. So if I press select and up, it brings up this additional screen here, and I can overclock all these different things and just increase the performance of the console. It's not really caused me any issues in terms of the console overheating, in terms of the battery running down. The battery seems to run down a little bit more quickly, but in general, it's not caused any particular problems. So select and down will remove that from the overlay and you're back into the game. So when I first tried the game, I was getting like random textures just popping up and disappearing while I was playing, or the sound would cut out and so on. So after a little tinkering and after getting the overclock working, everything seems to be working really great on this game. So a little bit of play on here. Load game. Oh, no Simpsons Hit and Run. Okay, so one thing I'm finding is that the game that I was playing hadn't saved, so I need to work out how to do that. But we'll start a new game and get going. So while that's loading, it is really hot in this shed today, so I'm not going to have the video on for particularly long. But over the past week, I went past 10k subs, which is, for me, a milestone I've been working towards for quite some time now. I know it doesn't really affect the algorithms or anything like that, but it is something I've been working towards, and it's significant. Like, that is a huge amount of people who are supporting my channel. So if that is you, and if you are one of those people who've subscribed, then thank you so much. It makes a huge difference to me, and it motivates me for creating these videos as I forge ahead and keep trying to grow this channel. If you're not a subscriber, think about it. I do a different video every week. They're generally on a whim. It's various different things. But if you like this kind of thing, I think you might like to check out my other videos. But anyway, just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody who's supported me along the way, particularly those early subscribers and commenters and the people who've been encouraging me to keep going with the channel. Big thank you to Z Labs for giving me the opportunity to promote them and support my channel with my links, which I have in the description for them, which is a discounted link and it's an affiliate link, so it supports my channel. So big thank you to them for that. Thanks to PCB Way for their ongoing support as well. And just in general, if you've ever watched any of my videos or liked or commented, or if you've subscribed, it means the world to me. Thank you very much. Anyway, the game seems to have loaded up now, so let's take a little look. So as I say, I do need to work out how to save my progress, but we'll get started on this. So we'll talk to Marge, we'll start the mission, and we'll get that one to load up. So basically, yeah, it's kind of like, if you've never played it before, it's like a GTA kind of thing. I'll just disable tutorials there. So you can get into the car, and you can drive around, and you can get into any car at all. Like I can get out here and get into the school bus and drive that one, and that you can just cause absolute chaos around Springfield. I'll get back into my classic pink car. So essentially this is GTA with Simpsons, but all I'm going to do here is just drive around a little bit, and you'll see that considering it's like a PS2 game and this is running on the Vita hardware, it's really impressive. I have missed my turn off there, but I'm just driving around just to show you how well it runs and how badly I play. So as I say, when I was first playing it, there were a few glitches. I was losing the textures and so on, and the sound was popping in and out. But with the overclock, it works really well. It was quite... I mean, the thing is, it was quite a job to install it, but I mean, it must have been a heck of a job to actually create this port in the first place. So huge credit to Xeno Arrows for this, and for the support on Discord in terms of helping me get it installed as well. I think it's a fantastic community on there. And if you are having problems, then get onto the Discord server and find out a little bit more about how to run it. But I mean, hopefully you can see from what I've got running here, this is running way better than it has any right to, doesn't it? You know, this is not PlayStation 2 caliber hardware, but it is running this game really smoothly. And what's more, it's a lot of fun. So if you have a PlayStation Vita, and if you've already installed the custom firmware, seek out this game. It's awesome. And if you haven't, and if you've thought about installing the custom firmware on your console and you thought it might be quite difficult, genuinely, like I did it on my Slim a while ago. I did find it quite challenging, quite fiddly, but now it's really easy, and there are guides that kind of hold your hand right the way through the process. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you this week. It's something new that I've found. It's something that I've been playing on this week, and I've been finding it a lot of fun. So as I said earlier, this is capable of running all sorts of different emulators for various different consoles. However, I'm not going to be seeking that out because I have got a range of different machines that do that already. More recently, I got that Anbernic RG35XX SP. It's like a Game Boy Advance SP style console that can run all sorts of different games. It is awesome, and if you want to find out a little bit more about that, I will link a video about it up here. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.